Hi, my name's Daniel and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over the complete setup guide of UniFi Threat Management on the new UniFi OS. We will be using a UDM Pro as an example, but the same rules apply for the USG and the UDM base on the new UniFi OS. Now, don't forget, if you like the content that I supply, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, press the thumbs up, and we'll get straight into the video. Thank you. The first thing to note here is that the intrusion detection or prevention system does actually lower the throughput of your internet when you do actually enable it. So if you have higher than a 100 megabit connection on a USG, you're only going to get roughly 85. On the USG Pro, you're only going to get roughly 250. On the USG XG, you only get 1 gigabit. On the UDM Dream Machine, it's only 850 megabits, and on a UniFi Dream Machine Pro, it's 3.5 gigabits per second throughput. Now, with that in mind, I personally have the UDM base. We will be showing you this on the UDM Pro. They are very, very rough figures. So for example, on my UDM base, I still actually push 900. So I do get more than 850. That is with IPS on as well as Smart Queue. So straight up, to enable it on the new UniFi OS, you go straight into your network. We'll wait for that to load. You go up into settings. To enable UniFi Threat Management, you go to security, you go to Internet Threat Management, you press on the checkbox here to enable it, you scroll down and you press apply. Now the important thing to remember is that the intrusion detection system only alerts you when there's malicious activity, where the intrusion prevention system actually blocks the activity. Okay, now we've had it on maximum protection now roughly on our setup for around 2 months, and we haven't had a single individual issue with Internet Threat Management. It's done its job. It's done exactly what we need it to do, with no issues at all. Now, obviously, you can enable and disable anything that you want to enable and disable around this area. So if you're having any problems with something that you don't really want blocked, for example, let's just say you don't actually want P2P blocked, you can just come in here, press apply, and untick that. Okay. Network scanners is always great to have threat scanner on. Internal honeypot is up to you whether you actually ideally want that on or not. The firewall and the advanced settings. Okay. Once you're done, make sure you press apply and allow 5 minutes or so for your devices to provision, and away you go. Alright, now on this note, how you set up threat management is purely based on how you want threat management to be set up. Do you want to block incoming and outgoing traffic? Do you want to block only incoming traffic? Do you want to block both? Or just outbound? The reason why this is very critical here is that, as you can see, I'm only blocking incoming traffic. And basically what this is saying that is I'm blocking incoming traffic from Australia and United States, when in theory, I'm not. I'm allowing traffic from Australia and United States, and I'm blocking the rest of the world. Okay, that's the only incoming traffic that I want going to my network. Now, the reason why this is a thing is because by clicking on each and every single one of these countries, it takes far too long. So to set up Geo IP filtering, I went into settings and I went into advanced feature. I went into classic settings. Then I went into routing and firewall. Then I went to Geo IP filtering. I enabled this. I select Australia and United States. I've got allow and I've got incoming. Therefore, every other country in the world is blocked from my network except Australia and United States. But because I have set it up that way, it's showing as blocked on the threat management system. This is a bug that UniFi has actually had for a while. It's a bug that's been mentioned by many people, and it's a bug that they need to fix. Okay, now personally, that's what I professionally recommend. Only block incoming traffic from every country except the countries that you physically want to allow into your network. Okay, so for example, if you have some customers in the United States and some customers in Australia, and you want them to come into your system and you want them to have access to your network, then they're the ones that you actually want to unblock. Every other country should be blocked. Now, as I mentioned, because of this and the way that it's set up, if I actually click on this and I block Canada as an example, and I now go back to Geo IP filtering, under routing and firewall Geo IP filtering, I've actually now allowed Canada into my network. But if I go back to threat management, here it actually says unblock when I'm not unblocking. Technically, I'll be blocking Canada again by doing that. So this is very important to remember. on how you want to set up threat management. If you want only incoming blocked and you want to block most countries from incoming, Geo IP filtering set up first is the way to go, but you do have to ignore this right here. Next we're going to talk about DNS filters. Now on UniFi OS, the place where you enable DNS filters has actually changed. To enable a DNS filter today, you want to go into your settings, you want to press on your networks, you want to edit the network that you want to work on, and then you can enable content filtering straight from here. From here, you can select work, which blocks explicit pornographic and malicious domains, search engines, and YouTube is set to safe mode. Or you can select family, which blocks VPNs, explicit pornographic and malicious domains, search engines, and YouTube is also set to safe mode. So this is important because this has actually moved from the old firmware, or old controller version, I should say, to under networks on the new UniFi OS. Okay, now I have had the occasional issue with their content filtering, nothing specifically related to UniFi, but occasionally the website won't work at all. Even when it does work on content filtering, sometimes you have to come into here, turn it off, and then turn it back on in order for it to work again. That's one critical thing to also remember. Right, now to install a internal honeypot, all you need to do is go back to security, go back to internet threat management, scroll down until you see threat network scanners, enable internal honeypot, click create honeypot. Now, if you know that your network has a IP address of 192.168.1.23, all you need to do is press create and a honeypot is created. Now, this will tell you when absolutely any form of SSH or anything else tries to connect specifically to this IP address, and this will actually be listed directly under the honeypot settings. We have tested this and it does work. All right, now to enable deep packet inspection, all you got to do is go to settings, scroll down to internet, go to traffic and device identification, and press enable deep packet inspection, and away you go. All right, now when it comes to blocking and unblocking threats, when you have intrusion detection system on, you still do that from the standard database from threat management. You scroll to the traffic log, you have traffic logs here, you can click on it and you can press unblock. Okay, now the other important thing to remember is that threat management does actually cause issues with RDP if you use RDP, VPN if you use VPN, if you have it on maximum. Some things you do actually just need to enable it. So we actually have a RDP open in the cloud right now, which again, it's just for testing purposes. It's not used in production. And we found that with threat management enabled, we weren't able to access the RDP server. To actually fix that, again, we had to come into settings, we had to go to security, we had to go to threat management, and we had to go to advanced, and we had to add it to the signature suppression list so that it would actually allow us to come through. This is where your threat management allow list is also showed. It's also where your block list is actually shown. Your block list will actually come through straight into your firewall. All right, so that's about it for UniFi Threat Management today. Like I said, it does work perfectly fine. I feel that it's a lot easier to set up on the new UniFi OS. It's a lot more simple to actually understand. If you are having any issues in relation to UniFi Threat Management, feel free to type it in the comments below and I'll get back to you when I can. And we can take it from there. All right, peace out, guys. Thanks again. Bye.